Alright guys, so it's time to get started with our next tools or our next visual, and that is a line chart. Right, so we were discussing about these things that first of all, when you have shown these details with respect to these aggregate numbers, that is the total revenue that the company has generated, then what are the total number of orders and all of these important values. So once the stakeholder used to get this idea, then they're interested upon this thing that what is the month by month or what is the year by year breakdown of this revenue, whether if the company is earning the profit in terms of years, that is if they can see a kind of sudden increase in the revenue or a sudden decrease in the revenue. And in order to actually see this thing and in order to actually visualize this thing, they can simply look upon these details if we are making the use of this visual, and that is a line chart, right? So line chart is the most important chart we can say, and it can be the most efficient chart that we can make the use of if we want to show these details with respect to the trends in the revenue with respect to these changing months or these changing years, right? So that's why in this particular video we will be looking upon our line chart itself, and once we are done with coming up with these cards to show these important numbers, now we will be showing these stakeholders with the trends in the value of the revenues, right? So let us get started with this insert option. Now in this insert option itself, you will get to see these visuals, right? And now the second option itself seems to be the line chart, right? You're having these multiple options for the line chart. There's no point to go forward with it. You're having these bars and column chart as well. So in the next upcoming videos, we will be discussing about that what information the stakeholders can get from these bar charts. So in the first dashboard itself, we will be making the use of these bar chart as well. But in this specific video, let us get this idea about how we can get some idea from the trends or the variation in terms of revenue with respect to these following years, right? So let me go forward with this line chart itself. And now here we are with our line chart, and you will get to see a lot many number of values over here, right? That is the x-axis, y-axis, legend, secondary x-axis. Legend idea you will get to know more about when we will be coming across this pie chart. So in the customer report itself, we will be showing you that how with respect to these multiple categories, the composition is there, right? As in one of our previous videos, we were discussing about this thing that we will be coming across this composition analysis as well. So for that, I will be showing you this legend, what exactly it used to do. But let us first of all go forward with plotting the values for x and y over here. Let me just break it a bit more broader, and with respect to my x-axis, I can simply keep the values for the start of month. That will be basically helping us out, or that will be helping us out in a way so that we can let the stakeholder know that how the values are getting varied with respect to the start of month, right? So let me go forward with my calendar lookup table, and in this specific table itself, I'm having one of the column as start of month. So let me put it in my x-axis. You can directly click over here itself. That is also up to you. And with respect to y-axis, if I'm going forward with that revenue, then let us go forward with this total revenue, right? So why exactly we are going forward with the start of month, so that you will get to know, or you will be able to show these important information with respect to these upcoming years, right? Or with respect to the last year in which we had this information, right? So we are not exactly, or you can see that this information is spread from the year of 2020 till 2021 and then 2022. So a complete picture, the stakeholders will get to know that whether if we are having a kind of increase in revenue or a decrease in revenue. And line chart you might would have already seen in the case of machine learning as well. As in machine learning as well, we are whenever we are going forward with this regression problem statement, then you might would have seen that we used to make the use of these line charts in order to show these important analysis, right? So this is something we are doing over here itself. We are showing the trends or the variation in the value of revenue in terms of the start of month, right? So this can give a kind of great picture to the stakeholder that how exactly the revenue is trending, right? All right. And now once we are done with this, let me move forward with my formatting right now, right? So if I'm just coming in this, if I'm looking forward to this specific option, then you will get to see that we are having so many number of options over here, right? We are having this trend line, forecast, we can find the anomalies as well, then data labels, markers, shade area. So a lot, many number of options we are having, right? So these two options, that is the forecast option and the trend line, is quite important. So we won't be exploring about this specific option in this specific video, but in the next video, we will be discussing about that how this trend line and forecast can be important for us, right? But in this specific video, let us go forward with this zoom slider. So this zoom slider can actually help us out in a way wherein just by sliding, we can simply slide among these multiple years and we can show the stakeholders that how the revenue is varying. If I'm interested in showing the details with respect to a specific month itself, like for example, if I'm interested in the month of September in 2021, then for that information, I can simply go forward with this option itself, right? So the slicer will be helping us out in that way. Again, it's a great kind of tool which is being provided by Power BI to us. And along with that, we can come up with some more options over here, right? And I think if I'm just keeping start of week in X value, let us simply explore it. That if you're keeping start of week in X, let us see what exactly we are getting. Whether if I'm getting a better value over here, right? So let me go forward with start of week. I can simply search it over here itself. Okay, this doesn't seem out to be a great value, right? So I think start of month can be a great option. Yeah. So that's why we can go forward with start of month itself, not with start of week. We want to exploring these options. So definitely you can explore out these options if you want to. Like for example, if I'm going forward with start of year as well, and you won't be able to get a kind of great chart, right? So that was the ultimate reason why I was making the use of start of month. So you can also explore these multiple columns, but just because start of month is giving us the best insight, which we can show in front of the stakeholder. So that's why we are going forward with start of month itself, right? And there is also one thing I would like to show it to you over here, and that is on object formatting. So with respect to on object formatting, it's a kind of great tool which is being provided by Power BI, or it's a kind of great functionality we can have in Power BI, wherein you can see that we are having this option over here, right? We can have this title over here. We can have this x-axis, y-axis, all of these things we can have. So all of these options that you can see on the screen, like for example, if I'm coming up with a bar chart, now in the bar chart, I'm having these multiple bars, right? So each and every single bar can be treated as an object. In a similar way, the specific title can be treated as an object. This x-axis can be treated as an object. Y-axis can be treated as an object. So if you directly want to make the changes into your particular object itself, then you can simply go forward with this on object formatting, right? And it's a kind of great tool just because we don't want to make, like, for example, if I want to make the changes into my title itself, then I won't be exploring each and every single option, right? To change it. I can simply go forward with the on object formatting option and I can simply change my, title itself. And in order to have the access over this on object formatting, what exactly you can do from your side is that you can simply double click. So onto the visual itself, if you are just double clicking, you will get to see that now each and every single object that you can see on the screen, you can have a access to it, right? With respect to my x-axis value as well, x-axis name as well. So each and every single thing you can see, right? And once I'm double clicking, you can see the formatting option as well, which we are having over here, right? So now let me go forward with changing the name for this specific time series analysis. So I don't like it to keep it as total revenue by start of month. So I can keep it as monthly revenue, right? That seems to be more fine in front of stakeholders. And let me keep the heading as heading 3. That seems fine. Then let us keep the font as Sego UI. Sego UI you can keep from your side if you want to, but if you don't want to keep it, that is completely up to you, right? And then, okay, text color is fine. Background, we don't want to make, yeah, we can horizontally align it. We can simply align it in the center, right? So this seems quite fine. And then once we are done with this, let me see what else I can do. Subtitle, I don't really want to change, but let me show you that on object formatting option, right? Which we were talking about. So once I'm hovering over here, once I'm done with the double clicking onto this visual, then I can get to see these multiple options, right? And now with this, I'm interested in formatting this specific object itself. Then I can click over here. You will get to see that whatever changes you want to make into this specific option, you will be able to change it. Like if I'm keeping the values off, you won't be able to see these values. That is completely up to you, but just because I want to keep it, so that's why it seems completely fine, right? All right. Title is seems fine. That is total revenue. We can show it. And okay, I want to make some changes actually in this line that you can see over here, right? Start of month is also fine. Total revenue is also fine. But this specific slider, I don't want to keep it. That's because what exactly the stakeholders are quite interested in is the variation in the value of revenue with respect to the years or with respect to the monthly updates, right? So that's why keeping this specific slider over here doesn't really come out to be as a kind of great objective, right? Or it doesn't really fit over here. So that's why I can simply remove it. I can click on it, and for y-axis, just because I don't want any zoom slider, so I can simply turn it off, right? And now there's an option over here that is a lines option. So how exactly you want to show your line, that is completely up to you. So I want to keep it as, if I'm keeping it as solid, if I want to keep it as dashed, so you can see these kind of line variation as well. That is completely up to you. If you want to keep it as dotted, custom, dashed, or solid, but mostly we can go forward with this solid line format itself, just because that seems more fine, right? Okay, so once we're done with this, then I want to make some changes onto the color of this line, right? So the color I want to keep it as dark gray itself, which we were keeping in the for these specific visual as well, right? So let me click over here. I can see the changes happening into the line, and now with respect to this line itself, that is the color seems fine, and the transparency I can keep up to 10%. Okay, that also seems fine, right? And now at trend lines and plot area background, I'm not quite interested in, but definitely from your side, you can explore these things, right? You can absolutely explore these multiple functionalities which Power BI is providing to us. So that one of the option which we are not exploring in this video, when you are exploring it, you might find it great, right? So trend line, we will be definitely going forward with in the next video itself, but we won't be exploring it over here. And this seems quite fine at this point, right? The line seems fine, that it's matching the specific color, and once you're hovering over here, you'll get to see that how the values are getting varied, right? But one more thing I would like to do over here, and that is the tooltips option, right? So tooltips is like when you're hovering over here, so you'll get to see the changes or the variation in the value with respect to the month. So for example, what was the revenue we were generating in the month of June, July? So if you'll just hover over here, so tooltip will help you out with that. So at this point, we won't be able to see the tooltip just because at this point we are double clicking over here, right? So that's why we are in this phase of on object formatting at this point. So that's why you are not able to see this tooltip. But let us see into our visual itself. We will get to see an option which will be representing the tooltips option as well, right? Okay, secondary y-axis, x-axis, y-axis, it seems fine. Zoom slider, we have turned our y off. Line also seems fine. And trend line, we will be exploring in the next video. And now, over here itself, we can see some kind of more options. Trend line forecast, I don't want to explore at this point. Let me go forward with the properties. So in the properties, you will get to see this tooltips option, right? So in the tooltips, I want to make some changes with respect to the text that was being shown. All right. One thing I can do over here is that let me show you that how exactly this tooltip used to work. So you can see that once I'm clicking over here, you'll get to see one more thing you can see over here. Once I'm clicking over here, you will get to see the changes or the variation in the value of these different visuals as well, right? So in the month of July, what was the revenue we were generating? What was the total number of orders? What is the profit the company is gaining? So interactive and interlinked kind of Power BI dashboard we are having, you are able to see these values. And you can see the change in the value of return percentage as well for that specific month. And this is what a tooltip is. If you just hover with respect to your line, you will get to see the changes in the value of the revenue with respect to multiple dates or the multiple months you are having, right? So we want to make some changes onto this tooltip wherein the total revenue value which has been shown, I want to make some changes onto the color of it. Then I want to provide it a kind of proper background color, right? So that color I want to provide in a way wherein it could match the color which is there into our these specific visuals. So let me go forward with my properties option, and with respect to these properties option itself, you will get to see that we are having these tooltips. And with respect to the text which is being shown, I want to keep my value color as blue. So this seems quite fine just because we were making the use of this color over here as well. And then for my label color, I can keep it as white. So I am keeping these colors, but you can definitely make some changes in the color if you want to. And for drill text and icon color, let me go forward with white again. Right. And with respect to the background color, I want to keep it as dark gray because that seems again quite fine, right? And transparency, let us go forward with keeping it as 10%, right? And now if I'm just hovering over here, you will get to see a great kind of tooltip which is being generated. And why exactly I was keeping it in this way, just because I wanted to make sure that whatever the visual we are having on the top, so whatever these cards we are having on the top, so we need to match the formatting which we are providing to the cards with respect to the tooltip that we are providing, right? So it can seem a kind of great kind of dashboard, right? Just because we are matching the colors with respect to each and every single visual that we are having. So definitely, if you are keeping some other colors for your visuals or for these specific cards, then you can go forward with keeping some changes, or you can simply maintain some changes with respect to these tooltips. So that is completely up to you. But what exactly we want to show you is how you can come up with this on object formatting and how you can maintain the color if you want to, right? So this is going to be the second analysis or the second feature or the insight which the stakeholder is quite interested in. And now we are done with this. And let us meet in the next video with the two options that we were discussing in the line chart, right? So that would be all in this video, and let us meet in the next video. So thank you. All right, guys. So let us have a look upon our trend lines and the forecast option that we were discussing about, right? So why exactly these trend lines and the forecast option is quite important over here. So for example, if the stakeholder is quite interested in this thing, that a single line, if you can create, which will be giving us the complete insight that over these months time period, how exactly a revenue was varying, right? So if we can just simply come up with a line which can show the complete trend of the variation in the value of revenue with respect to this month to month time period. So if we can come up with something like that, then it would be great, right? And just for that only, we are coming up with this trend line. And forecast stands for, so you might have heard about this weather forecast, right? So in the case of weather forecast, we used to come up with this temperature, and we used to decide that how exactly the weather is going to be in the upcoming days with respect to the weather we are having on the given day. So that's exactly how this forecasting and the trend line used to work. So forecasting will be giving us this idea or a kind of space will be created wherein that space will be giving us this insight that how much we can expect the revenue to be in the next upcoming months, right? So that's exactly the reason we are going forward with this trend lines and the revenue. And for that only, let me go forward on with clicking onto this visual. Now we are having this option to add or remove visual elements. And now over here itself, I'm having the option of trend lines and I'm having the option of forecasts, right? So one thing I can do over here, I can just maximize it. And one thing you can see that now this specific line that you can see, this specific line would gonna come out to be your trend line, which is showing the trend at how the variation or how the value is varying with respect to the revenue in terms of these upcoming months, right? So in January 2023, how much we can expect the revenue to be, right? So one great thing about it is that with respect to our data set, we didn't really had the year as 2023, right? We had the information from the following year of 2020, 2021, and 2022. So one great thing you can see in the case of Power BI is that with respect to the values of the revenue we had in terms of the year from 2020 to 2022, now we can come up with an value or an kind of prediction that what can our revenue, so what the revenue can be in the year of 2023 as well. So it is just like the prediction kind of model, right? In the case of machine learning, you might would have seen these prediction models, which is helping us out to come up with these predicted values at how much the revenue we can expect. Or in the case of stock price analysis as well, you might would have seen that the stock price is mostly being predicted via making the use of these charts. And this is what we are exactly doing over here as well. We are making the use of these forecasting techniques so that we can simply predict that in the year of 2023 how much revenue we can expect. So this can be helpful for the stakeholder as well, or just like the example of Shark Tank we have given you, that whether if the investors are interested in are investing in our company or not. So for that they need some kind of forecasting with respect to the upcoming years, right? And with respect to this specific forecast, we can expect that in the year of 2023 the revenue will be increasing, right? And yeah, again, one thing, when you're hovering over here, you'll get to see the values, that is upper bound, lower bound, forecast, and all of these values, right? That is what a tooltip. Okay, so now let me bring in some changes into the format of these forecast and the trend lines. And for that itself, first of all, let me click over here onto the visual itself and let me get into my property section. So properties was giving us the insight about the tooltips. Now we have already seen these things. Now I think it's important to let us look upon our visuals. And now with respect to our visual itself, we are having this option of forecast. So trend line, we have also kept it on, and the forecast, we have also kept it on. And now with respect to trend line, let us see that if we want to make any changes or not. So the color seems quite fine, right? We don't really want to make any changes in the color. Along with that, I want to keep it as dashed itself, just because it is not the exact line, but it is a kind of trending line, right? So that's why I don't want to keep it as solid, just because I don't want to create any kind of confusion with respect to this line chart, that the insight that we are trying to show over here. So the insight with respect to the trend line and the actual value should not vary with respect to each other, right? So that is the reason I won't be keeping it in a kind of solid format. Let us keep it as dashed itself, and the width also seems quite fine. So I won't be actually making any changes with respect to the trend line, but with respect to our forecast, I will be bringing in some changes. So now with respect to the forecast, let me bring in some changes as now. One thing you can see over here, that with respect to the forecast, the unit is being defined as the points, right? So what you can exactly do is that if you want to predict the value as a kind of forecasting value. So for example, if I want the forecasting to be done in terms of these units, that is months. So for example, if I want to do the forecasting in terms of the previous month revenue, then I can simply go forward with this month option. In a similar way, if I want to do the forecasting in terms of the previous years, then I can simply choose the units as years, right? Or if I want the forecasting to be done in terms of quarters, then you know what option you can choose, right? But that's exactly how the unit is being decided. And the forecast length that you can see over here is going to be the time period. So for example, if you want to come up with the forecasting in terms of the, like for example, if I'm going forward with the number of days as the units, then the forecasting will be done in terms of next 10 days. At how much revenue I can expect in the next upcoming 10 days, right? In a similar way, if I'm keeping it as 20, then I can simply expect the forecasting to be done in terms of the next 20 days, right? So the unit you can choose from your side, the forecasting length you can choose from your side. Ignore the last can be one of the option wherein what revenue you are getting in the last month. That is something you can expect. That is completely up to you. And now the confidence level you can, or the confidence interval you can also see over here, that is being kept as 95% over here. And what exactly this confidence interval used to show us, so this interval will be giving us this insight that how much confident we are that the values in the next 10 days time period will fall under this category only, right? So if I'm 95% confident, then I can simply expect a kind of such kind of forecast which can be created, right? But if I'm just simply keeping my confidence level up to 85%, then I will see that the specific forecasting will become narrowed down. It's because I'm not exactly confident that my revenue will be following under that specific category. That's exactly how this confidence interval used to work, but I want to keep it as 95% itself. So that's why I will be keeping the confidence interval as 95%. And that would be all, right? So I don't think there is any such more requirement which we are required to come up with, or there is more transformation that we are required to come up with, right? So we have shown you that how exactly this trend line is working, how exactly this forecast is working, and how we can expect the revenue to be in the next upcoming years or in the next upcoming months, right? So that's how this trend lines and forecast used to work, and that would be all with respect to our line chart. And let us meet in the next video with the first assignment with respect to this line charts itself, right? That would be all in this video, and thank you. All right, guys, so let us have a look upon our second assignment, and that is regarding the line charts, right? So let me go forward with each and every single key objective that is mentioned over here. So the first key objective is mentioning to add a line chart to the customer detail report, and that should show the total customers by week. So in this specific scenario, we are not exactly considering our time period as the month, right? But we are considering the time period as the start of week. So this is something we can put it on our x-axis, and with respect to y-axis, we are going to keep the total customers. So what exactly you can do from your side is that you can simply copy the visual that was there in the executive dashboard, and you can copy it in your customer dashboard itself, so that you don't have to make the changes into the formatting again and again, right? So that is something you can do from your side only. And then in the second key objective, you have to add a trend line and the zoom slider to the x-axis. So it's completely up to you if you want to do it manually, or you can simply copy it from the first dashboard itself which you have created. Again, that is something you can do from your side, just because in our previous videos itself, when we were creating that line chart, so we were adding a trend line and the zoom slider to the x-axis, right? So again, either you can copy it, or you can bring in the changes again. And finally, you have to enable the tooltips and the format to match line charts in the executive dashboard tab, right? So again, the similar kind of changes, just like the previous videos. So I think it would be a quite bit easy for you, right? If you have been following the videos up till now, and we will be meeting in the next video with the solution of these key objectives, and that would be all in this assignment. So let us meet in the next video, and thank you. All right, guys, so let us look into the solution of these key objectives. So the first key objective is asking us to add a line chart to the customer detail report showing the total customers by week. Right, so let me jump back into my Power BI itself, and already we have created this line chart. So what exactly I can do is that I can simply copy it and paste it, right? So that I don't have to make the changes again and again. I will copy it by clicking on Control C, and onto my customer report, let me click Control V over here. So again, the similar kind of visual you'll get to see. But at this point, you are not exactly required to keep the values on X as start of month, and the Y shouldn't be total revenue, right? So you have to bring in some changes into the value of X and Y axis. And just for that only, let me add some data as per the requirement. So on the X axis, I want to keep the values as the start of week, right? And with respect to the Y axis, I can keep the values as the total customers, right? Which is a requirement. Yeah. Okay, you can see these values. That is how exactly these values are varying with respect to start of week. So if I'm just making it a bit broader, so you can see the variation in the values of the customers, that how exactly our customers were varying with respect to weeks only. So there is one thing that you can do from your side is that as per the requirement, you can definitely keep the weeks over here. But the thing is that with respect to the start of week as our X value, we are not exactly able to see a kind of proper value in the case of X axis, right? So I think it would be a bit more optimal if I'm keeping the start of month in the X axis, right? So that's why I won't be keeping start of week on the X axis, and let me bring in the changes. Let me click on Control Z so that we can get the formatting back again with respect to the previous visual itself. And instead of keeping start of week on my x-axis, let me go forward with start of month itself. So it's completely up to you what you want to keep in the x-axis or y-axis, just because that was not exactly providing us a great insight. And that's why I'm keeping start of month on my x-axis. And now total customers I'm able to see over here. So you will get to see the change in the value of y-axis label as well. That is total customers we are able to see. And yeah, in the title, we need to bring in some changes, right? Some formatting you are required to do from your side. And one more thing, you would be able to see that the slider is being added automatically. And why it is being added automatically? Just because we are copying the visual from the first dashboard itself, right? And a trend line you can also see. And forecasting was something which was not required over here, and we are not even able to see the forecasting, right? Okay, so we are mostly done with the first, all of the key objectives, as we have added the line chart, and then we have added a trend line and a zoom slider to the x-axis as well. You can do it manually as well, but again, it would be a bit more easy if you are just copying the visual from the first dashboard itself. And then as your third key objective, you have to enable tooltips and you have to format to match the line chart in the executive dashboard tab. So we have made the required changes as per the requirements. And let me see how exactly my tooltip is working over here. Okay, so tooltip is working completely fine, right? I'm able to see the changes in the value of the total customers with respect to month by month. So how many number of customers I had, or how many number of customers I was selling the orders with respect to each and every single month, that insight I can see over here. And a kind of proper formatting you can see with respect to each and every single month, right? Okay, a great kind of great insight we can get over here. And one more, yeah, just some insights you have to change over here. That is monthly revenue. You want to be keeping the title as, you can simply keep it as as per the requirement. You can simply keep it as total customers by week. So we will keep the name in a similar way, that is total. Just because we are not exactly using weeks over here in our x-axis, so that's why I will be keeping it as total customers by month. Just because that is giving us a better insight, right? Okay, so the title seems fine, and total customers is there on the in the y-axis, and the start of month is there in the x-axis, and we are able to see the trend line, and along with that, we are able to see the zoom slider as well. So that's exactly how you can come up with the solution of all of your three key objectives. Definitely, I'm not trying out these objectives manually one by one, as automatically I have just copied the visual from the first dashboard itself. But again, if you want to bring in the changes manually, it's up to you. Okay, so that would be all regarding the solution of your key objectives in the second assignment. And let us meet in the next video with some more KPI cards. So we were discussing about this thing in the first video itself, that we will be showing the executives that how month by month the variation we can see in terms of revenue, that how much revenue was there in the previous month, how much revenue we can expect in the upcoming month, and how much revenue is there in the current month. So for that, we can come up with these KPI cards. So that is something we will be discussing in the upcoming videos, and that would be all in the solution walkthrough of our second assignment. And let us meet in the next video with some more informative content. So thank you. All right, guys. So in this specific video, we are going to discuss about the KPI visuals, right? So in the previous videos as well, we were discussing about this thing, that we are having some of the visuals that is being referred as a KPI visual, right? As in the executive dashboard itself, you will get to see that we were having these four cards, right? Which were reflecting a kind of aggregate kind of operation. So for example, if I'm interested in this information, that what is the total revenue this company has generated, so that inside I can get what is the total number of orders this company has generated, what is the profit they are getting, what is the return percentage they are getting, right? So we were getting these important insights, right? But the thing over here is that, what if I'll just maximize it? Yeah, so the thing over here is that, what if I'm interested in looking forward to this information, that whether if this company is actually getting into profit or not, right? So if I'm having the information which is there from the last 4 years, right? So with respect to these 4 years, if I'm exactly looking into this fact that whether if the company is getting into profit or not, then that would not be a kind of great way to get the context that whether if I'm having that, whether if this specific company is getting into profit or not, right? So that's why if I need to have a kind of proper context, and if I need to present in front of the stakeholders or the investors that whether if this specific company is getting into profit or not, then what exactly I can do is that I can simply show these numbers in front of the stakeholders or in the front of the executive as a month by month approach, wherein what exactly I will be doing is that I will be showing that how much revenue this company has generated in this specific month with respect to the previous month, right? So I will be showing the variation in terms of month by month period, that whether if I'm having an increase in the revenue with respect to previous month or whether if I'm having a decrease in the revenue, right? And just for that context itself, we are going to make the use of these KPI cards, right? So these KPI card seems to be the best card which we can have, and it is one of the best visual, just because the most important insight that the companies are quite interested in, and that is whether if you are getting into profit or not. So that exact insight we can get via making the use of these KPI visuals, right? That is the ultimate reason we will be making the use of these KPI visuals to get the context that whether if I'm having an increase in terms of orders or in terms of revenue with respect to previous month, or whether if I'm having a kind of decrement, right? So kind of projection kind of idea you'll get to have a kind of projection. You can see that in with respect to previous month, if I'm having a kind of increase or not, right? Just for this projection criteria itself, I'm going to come up with these KPI visuals itself, right? So now let me go forward with this insert option, and into this insert option itself, we are going to have this KPI visuals option, right? So if I'm just scrolling down, you will get to see that we are having one of this visual, which is being referred as a KPI. So we won't be actually making the use of this specific card just because it is giving us the insight in terms of the aggregation, right? Like for example, in front of stakeholders, the first information that you will be providing is going to be in terms of the complete aggregation. That what is the sum of product, what is the sum of orders, what is the sum of revenue, and each and every single insight you can provide. But if the company is quite interested in looking forward to this information, that how your value is getting varied with respect to month by month, with respect to previous month, if you're having a sudden increase in revenue or not, or whether if you're getting into profit with respect to previous month or not. So in order to deliver that insight, we will be going forward with the last visual that we can see on the screen, and that is this KPI visual. So with respect to this KPI visual itself, I will be showing you the first way to create this KPI visual in terms of revenue trend, right? Just because over here, you can see that we are not exactly having a single value to enter, but you can enter three values over here. Either I can enter the value that is the total revenue, which I will be looking upon, right? Or I can simply go forward with adding the value as my total revenue itself, and with respect to the trend axis that you can see something over here. So trend axis and target seems to be a new value, right? As in the card as well, we were able to have this values option, wherein we can simply go forward with coming up with this complete aggregation that what is the revenue we are generating throughout these years. But this trend axis will be helping us out to get the idea or the complete insight that what is the trending revenue we were getting with respect to the month by month period. So with respect to previous month, if I'm getting a sudden increase or not, so for that, I will be going forward with this trend axis. This trend axis is just like this specific axis itself that you can see over here, right? So we have already discussed about this thing, what exactly is a trend axis. And this target is going to be something that we need to look upon, just because this target is going to be something which will be giving us the complete context, right? So whether if I'm having the increase in revenue or in terms of orders or not. So for getting that idea, I can simply go forward with this target option. So this will be giving me that number that the number that we need for this specific month, that is the 10% increase with respect to the previous month. So whether if I'm exactly getting that number or not, so that will be completely dependent upon what exact value I'm entering into my target section, right? So your complete context depends upon the specific target value itself. So let me go forward with practically implementing these things. Let me show you how exactly we can see these trends over here. So in the value section itself, let me add the value as total revenue, right? and at this point, when you're adding the total revenue, you won't be able to see anything, right? In the visual itself, you are not able to see the revenue just because you are not exactly putting in the value for the trend axis, which will be giving the complete insight that how exactly you want your revenue to be shown in a kind of trend value, right? In a kind of trend way, like how exactly you want your revenue to be shown in a kind of trend by trend, or how you want your value to be trending over time, just because you are not exactly coming up with that. So that's why you won't be able to see any value over here. So into your trend axis itself, you can simply go forward with the calendar lookup table, and let me go forward with my start of month, just because I want to show the details to the stakeholders or the executive as how my revenue is getting varied with respect to the previous month. So that's why start of month I will be entering over here as my trend axis, and let me go forward with that. And now you can see some values see values over here, right? You can see some values which is not exactly meeting the value that we can see with respect to the total revenue. And why exactly we are not able to see the total revenue same as that of this specific value? The reason behind it is that this specific revenue is the revenue which the company has generated in this specific month, right? So I'm not exactly looking forward to the previous month revenue, but I'm looking forward to the revenue in the current month itself. And if I want to compare with respect to the previous month, then I can simply go forward with this target option. And yeah, one more thing you can see over here, that is a kind of variation in this specific graph, right? So this graph will be giving you the complete insight that how exactly day by day the revenue was getting increased, or whether it was getting decreased. As over here, you can see that there was a certain time wherein the revenue was not coming out to be as much as you were expecting. But still, as the days passed, we can see that we can see a kind of sudden increase in the revenue. So everything seems fine, right? So with respect to my target, let me go forward with entering the previous month revenue. We have already calculated, right, in the DAX section itself. So for example, if I'm going forward with the specific visual, that is previous month revenue, let me enter it over here, and you will get to see the complete KPI visual as what exactly it is representing. So why exactly we are able to see this green color, and why exactly we are able to come up with this goal? So this specific goal is actually representing the revenue that we had in the previous month. So just because the target I'm not exactly keeping a goal over here, but I'm keeping the target in such a way such that this goal should represent that what revenue the company was able to come up with in the previous month. And with respect to the previous month, if I'm able to come up with a revenue which is coming out to be greater than that or not. And just in order to figure that out, I'm simply going forward with my goal. So this doesn't seem to be a kind of goal value, right? We have to make some changes into the labeling. But what exactly it is representing is with respect to the previous month, wherein I was coming up with around $1.73 million revenue. From that specific revenue, I'm able to come up with 3.3% increase in the revenue. And in this specific month, I'm not exactly having 1.7, but I'm having 1.8 millions revenue. Right. So a kind of sudden increase you can see over here. So that's exactly what the goal is representing. And yeah, definitely we can see some kind of values which are being shown, a proper value is being shown, but we need to make some changes into the formatting. And just in order to do that, let me go forward with this option. Let me click over here on more options, and the title, I don't really want to keep it as this much big, right? So I will be making in some changes into this text of the title. Let me keep it as monthly revenue, just because month by month trend I'm showing, and heading seems to be fine. It's H3, that seems quite fine. But one more thing I need to do is that horizontal alignment, I need to keep it in the center, right? Other value seems quite fine, right? So we're done with the keeping the title. Now there is some changes I need to make in the call out value. So you might would have seen that when I was representing these values, that what is the revenue the company is coming up with in this specific month. So I was keeping it in millions, right? It's because the companies or the executive is not exactly interested in looking forward to this large information, right? They won't be counting out these numbers. What exactly they want the numbers to be shown is in million, thousands, like that, right? So just for that only, we will be keeping the call out value into millions itself. Let me keep my display units as millions. Billions doesn't really seem fine, as thousands would also not be a kind of great option. So The display units, I will gonna keep it as millions itself, and the goal will now be changed into millions itself, right? So $1.77 million was the previous month revenue, and from that, I'm getting 1.83 million revenue. A kind of 3.3 increase you can see over here. And once I'm done with this thing, let me go forward with the target label. So target label is coming as the goal over here, right? So it is not exactly the goal, but it is a previous month revenue. So let me change the label for it. Let me keep the label as previous month rev. So I can keep it as long, or I can simply go forward with keeping the label as prev month rev, and that also gives a kind of complete insight that in the previous month I had this much of revenue, or the company had this much of revenue, and now we are able to see a 3.3 percentage increase in the revenue, right? Font color seems fine, and the trend axis also seems fine. And one more thing I would like to show you over here, that is the trend axis. So you really need to emphasize upon this thing, that is the trend axis, as by making the use of this trend axis, you will be deciding other factors as well. Like one thing over here you can see is that in terms of revenue, if I'm getting a great revenue or a kind of increase in revenue, then that is completely fine, right? If I'm getting a revenue which is coming out to be greater than the previous month, or in this specific year, if I'm getting a increase in revenue, then high is completely good. But the thing is that in terms of return percentage that you can see over here, if I'm getting an increase in the return percentage in this specific month as compared to the previous month, then that is not great, right? So that's why you always need to look upon this direction, that how this color will be defined. So good color is being kept as green over here. That is a kind of great way to represent your values, right? Just because in the case of revenue, just because I want high revenue with respect to the previous month, so that's why I would gonna keep the direction as high is good. But with respect to the return percentage, just because high is not exactly good, so in that specific case, I will be keeping the direction as low is good, right? So these changes we will be making when we will be coming up with our third visual or third KPI card. So at this point, we won't be discussing about that. And one more thing I would like to do over here is to simply make some changes into these colors. As what exactly I want is that if there is a person who is like having some issues with the color, right? So for them, I don't really want these colors to be creating a kind of impact. So just for that only, I want the good color to be shown in a kind of bit grayish only. The same color that we were choosing for these specific visuals as well. In a similar way, neutral color is also fine if I'm keeping it as grayish. And the transparency for the back chart you can see over here, that is also for that as well, you can keep the transparency up to 10%. 10% or 15% is also fine. Let me go forward with keeping it as 15%. And now we are able to come up with the proper KPI, which is representing the monthly revenue, right? So this insight is something which the company is always quite interested in. So not exactly in terms of the monthly revenue only, we will be coming up with the KPI, but I will be coming up with the KPI, which is representing the previous, in terms of previous month, if I'm getting a good return percentage, a decrement in the return percentage or not. And similar to that of in terms of orders, if I'm getting an increment in the orders or not with respect to the previous month, that is also something I will be looking upon. And the first visual, if you have created, you can simply copy the changes from the first visual itself into your next visuals as well. So you have to make some changes into this specific monthly revenue chart, that is the line chart. And let me just keep this context below it, right? Okay, so once I'm done with this monthly revenue, I can go forward with representing the information with respect to our return percentage and with respect to our orders as well. Just because that is something in which the company is quite interested in. And I would like to make some changes into the formatting again, wherein with respect to the size of the specific KPI card, I don't really want it to be this much big, right? I want the width to be around 175. That seems quite fine. Okay, 175 is not exactly coming out to be great. You can keep it as 200 if you want. 200 is not exactly fine. Let us go forward with keeping it as, okay, whatever it is, it seems fine, right? So complete context, you can see you are not exactly looking upon the details as a year by year trend, but you are looking upon the details in terms of the month by month revenue. So this actually helps the executive out, right, to get the complete insight that whether if the company is getting into profit or not. Just because the details we are having is for 4 years itself. So that's why looking into the information in terms of month by month revenue seems to be a kind of great insight, right? So that's why we will be coming up with the monthly revenue in a similar way. I can come up with the monthly return percentage as well and the monthly orders as well. So you can just simply copy your visual if you want, and you have to simply align all of these KPIs, right? So again, the same thing you can do from your side. You can simply go forward with that option of aligning it, wherein I will be clicking. I will be simply clicking on these three visuals, and let me go forward with making some changes into the format. So the format, I need to first of all align it as align top, and then I need to make some changes with respect to distribute horizontally. Okay, so this seems not exactly a kind of great criteria, right? So that's why it would be a better approach if we are going forward with the previous alignment itself. Okay, you can definitely go forward with that option, but just because in this specific case, it doesn't really seem to be a kind of great option. So that's why let us go forward with this specific formatting itself, but we need to make some changes into these two KPI cards. As the second KPI card is representing the information with respect to the monthly return percentage. So that's why let me bring in some changes. Let me click over here, and this more options you can have over here itself, and what changes you need to make from your side. Okay, so at this point, I will be representing the second visual as the total monthly number of orders that we are getting, as that is the second insight in which the company is quite interested in. So call out value is completely fine, but I need to bring in some changes with respect to what information I'm representing. So value, I would gonna keep it as total orders. You can simply search it over here itself. And trend axis seems completely fine. And the target, I would gonna keep it as not exactly as the previous month revenue, but as the previous month orders, right? And target, I can simply keep it as previous month orders only. So with respect to previous month orders, I will be comparing the values, and you can see a kind of decrement, right? So just because the percentage is coming out to be in minus, so definitely less number of orders we are getting in this specific month as compared to that of the previous month. Okay, so these insights you can see, but in terms of revenue, again, we are getting an increase in the revenue of 3.3%. Okay, so it seems fine. And trend axis, I want the values to be shown or trended in terms of month itself. So we don't really want to make any changes over there. And let me make some changes into the formatting. I don't want monthly revenue to be shown, but I want a title to be shown as monthly orders, right? Okay, let me keep the title as monthly orders. That seems fine. And some changes I need to make with respect to the target value. So target label, I need to keep it as. So with respect to your target label itself, you can simply go forward with keeping the values, wherein the label you will be keeping as previous month orders, right? Okay, so this seems complete fine, right? One more thing I would like to do over here is that you can see that if I'm keeping the number of orders in millions, then I'm not exactly able to see the proper value, right? And over here itself, you can see that with respect to our 4 years, the number of orders we are getting is in thousands. So that's why there is no point to keep these values in millions. So that's why I will gonna bring in some changes into the formatting, wherein the value will be shown in terms of numbers itself. I won't be showing it into millions, right? So the display units, you can keep it as none. But this seems quite fine, right? This basically show a kind of great information that in this specific month, we are getting the monthly orders as 2,146. And in the previous month, we were getting around 2,165 orders. So there is obviously a reason for a decrease in monthly orders, right? These numbers used to reflect that information. And definitely, I won't be making any changes into the color that is being shown over here, just because for the bad orders, I want the color to be shown as red. Okay, and just because of that, the changes I will be making is going to be with respect to the third KPI visual itself, and which is representing the information with respect to the return percentage. So I want the total value to be shown as total returns, right? So again, With respect to the returns, there is no point to keep the return percentage as into millions. So that's why I will be making in some changes. Trend axis seems completely fine, and the target I need to change over here. So the target I will be keeping as previous month returns, right? Okay. And once I'm selecting this option, then you can see that again, I'm not able to come up with a proper value just because I'm showing it in millions. So again, we need to make some changes into the display units. And with respect to the display units, keep it as none. And you can see that in the previous month, I was getting around 169 number of returns. And in this specific month, I'm getting around 166 number of returns. And this seems to be a kind of great value, right? As in the case of returns, I want the returns to be less. So that's why if I'm getting this red value, then there is some issue with the color option. So that's why I don't really want the high to be good over here. As what exactly I want is that low should be good. Just because I want low number of returns, right? So first of all, let me bring in the changes into the title itself. For the title, I will be showing the monthly returns as the label. Once I'm done with that, I can go forward with bringing in some changes into my okay, call out value. Again, I need to keep it as none. That is fine. And with respect to the target label, I want to keep it as previous month returns, right? Okay, so for target label, I will be going forward with keeping the values label as the previous month returns. Okay, a better insight you can get over here. And in this specific scenario, uh, what what we are exactly looking for is that low is going to be good. And just because of that only, let me go forward with my trend axis. And in this specific scenario, I want low to be good, right? So the direction you have to keep it as low is good. And that's why you can see a kind of sudden increase in the or the sudden change in the color, right? So at this point, we are not exactly getting a red color just because low is going to be good over here. So an increase in value or a kind of better value you can see over here in terms of returns, as we are not exactly getting the same number of returns which we were getting in the previous month itself, right? So definitely a kind of great insight you are getting in your dashboard, and these insights will be providing a complete context to the stakeholder or to the executive that with respect to month by month approach, how exactly these values are getting represented, right? So that would be all regarding the KPI card visuals. You can definitely try it out from your side, and this is quite important. So definitely you should keep it in your visuals itself. And that would be all with respect to KPI visuals, and let us meet in the next video, right? So thank you. All right, guys. So up till now, we have explored so many number of options or so many number of aspects, right? So we have looked upon these aggregation values, that how we are exactly coming up with these number as the aggregation values. So what is the total revenue we are generating? What is the total number of orders the company is having? Then what is the profit the company is having, and what is the return percentage is there, right? And then we looked upon this aspect that how the revenue is getting break down into on the basis of month by month, right? So how the company was earning the revenue as per the month. So that is something we have seen with respect to our time series analysis by making the use of this line chart. Then we explored about these KPI visuals, that how much the revenue the company is earning in this specific or how much the revenue is there in this specific month, and with respect to the previous month, if the company is getting into profit or loss, right? So in order to figure that out, we were making the use of these KPI visuals, which were giving us a complete insight that with respect to previous month, if we are getting some increment in the revenue or if you're getting some decrement in the revenue. And we have explored some other facts as well that we can show to the executive, right? So up till now, we have explored these things, right? But we haven't actually explored one thing, and that is how much revenue the company is generating or how much number of orders the company is having as per the multiple product categories, right? And just in order to figure that out, that among the multiple product categories that the company is having, among them, how much the revenue the company is able to come up with, or how much the orders the company is getting with respect to each and every single product category, that is something we haven't explored up till now, right? And just in order to break down these numbers that you can see on the screen, on the basis of the multiple product categories, we are coming across this video that is giving us the insight about the bar and the donut charts. So in this specific video itself, we will be exploring about the donut charts, and then we will be exploring about these bar charts, which will be helping us out to break down these numbers. These numbers like the revenue, orders, profit, or return percentage. So definitely we won't be looking upon each and every single numbers. We will be exploring the total number of orders itself. But how we can break down these numbers into the multiple categories? For that, we are going to make the use of our next visual, that is going to the donut chart, and then we can come up with the bar chart as well, right? So first of all, we will be looking upon this product lookup table, which is having the column that is product categories, so that we will be breaking down this orders number on the basis of that category name itself. So first of all, let me explore the visual that is the donut chart. And then if the donut chart is not exactly coming out to be great, then we can move forward with the bar chart. Just because we want the better visual, right? The better visualization we want to break down these numbers. And bar chart used to come out to be a kind of better, or it used to provide a kind of better picture as compared to the donut chart, right? So that's why we will be exploring both of these charts, that is a donut chart and bar chart, with respect to our use case. So let me go forward with this insert option, and in this insert option itself, you will get to see we are having these bar charts and column charts. Along with that, we are having this pie chart, donut chart. So in the first video when I was introducing about Power BI, so in that specific video itself, I was talking about these things, right? That what is a bar chart, what is a pie chart, what is a donut chart, right? So that visual itself, the donut chart that we have looked upon in our first video itself, that is something we are going to discuss about in this specific video itself, right? So let me go forward with clicking on it. And now you will get to see your donut chart getting created over here. Let me just bring in some changes so that it will be getting aligned. I need to keep it up till this height, right? All right, and one more thing you might would have seen in our previous videos that we were discussing about this aspect, that what exactly is a legend, right? So legend is going to be that specific place wherein you can simply add your data, and on the basis of your legend itself, the multiple categories are going to be considered. So legend is going to be like that filter that we were talking about, right? So in the case of matrix that we were looking upon in the DAX section, so we were looking upon this fact that on the basis of these multiple filters, we can break down these numbers like the total profit, total orders, total revenue, right? So just like that, the legend used to work. So legend in a donut chart is going to be like that filter on the basis of which you are going to break down these numbers. Right, so let me go forward with this legend, and onto this legend itself, let me add my product category, product lookup table, or I can go forward with my product categories table, right? This product categories is consisting of the category name. And now the four different categories we had, that is accessories, bikes, clothing, and components. But components was not exactly having so many number of orders. So as soon as I'm going to enter the value for the total number of orders, we won't be able to see this components category. That's because the orders we are getting is from accessories, bikes, and clothing itself. So let me add the values. Let us look upon these things, that how many number of orders we are getting on the basis of the product categories. So if I'm going forward with this total orders, then here it is, right? You can get this idea that with respect to our accessories, how many number of orders I'm getting. So with respect to each and every single legend that is there, or with respect to each and every single category that is there, you can see a color over here, right? A color which is exactly representing that what specific category we are discussing at this point. So accessories is having the light blue color. So around 17,000 number of orders we are getting from the accessories. Then from clothing, we are getting around 17,000 number of orders. And you can see a kind of percentage value as well associated over here, right? So in the case of Matplotlib and Seaborn as well, you might would have seen that we are having this visual, that is a pie chart. So in the case of, so by making the use of pandas as well, you might would have seen that there is some auto PCT that we used to pass to come up with these percentage values, so that we can come up with this pie chart. So that's exactly how it is working. It is giving us the percentage as well. It is giving us the total number of orders as well with respect to the multiple categories that we are having. But the thing is that whenever human beings used to see these kind of visuals, then they are more interested in looking upon these bars. As in most of the time, you will get to see that mostly people prefer to see these bars just because the length of bar is used to as be is being mostly preferred by the companies or by the individuals, as a length of bar used to give a kind of better picture as compared to the angle of slices, right? So that's why instead of making the use of pie chart, we can absolutely go forward with an bar chart as well, right? And just in order to do that, what exactly I'm going to do is that instead of choosing this donut chart, let me go forward with this option that is a clustered bar chart, right? And now you can get a better picture, right? That accessories is having the maximum number of orders, and then bikes is having the second highest number of orders, and the clothing is having minimum number of orders. So kind of better picture you can get at this point, right? By making the use of this specific visual. That is a major reason why we used to prefer these bar charts for the category by category comparison. So now we will be going forward with this bar chart itself, but I need to bring some changes into the formatting of it. So let me go forward with the on object formatting. Let me double click over here onto the visual itself. And now this y axis I don't really want at this point. So let me click over here. I don't want to see the specific title. Let me turn it off. In a similar way, I don't want this x-axis as well. Just because this label, that title that I will be providing over here, that will be giving us the complete insight at what exactly this visual is representing to us. Right, so that's why I'm not exactly interested into this as well. So let me remove my X label as well, right? And now you can get a kind of better picture. And these values that you can see over here, that is also something I don't want. I want the values to be shown associated with respect to each and every single bar object, right? So let me just turn off my values as well. And now if I'm going to right click over here, so on right clicking, you will get to see that we are having this option of add data labels, right? So let me click over here, and now you will get to see that the values are getting arranged in a way wherein we are getting the total number of orders associated with respect to each and every single product category, right? And the numbers you can see on the screen itself. But one more thing I would like to do over here is that I want to format these data labels. All right. And the position I want at the outside end. Just because that seems quite more relatable, or a kind of better idea we can get out of it, right? So that's why we can provide these insights outside of our bars itself. And now once I'm done with this, you can get a kind of better picture that we are looking upon this thing, that how many number of orders we are getting with respect to each and every single category name. But again, I will be bringing in some formatting, and let me double click over here. I want to bring in some changes into the title. So I don't want the total orders by category, but I want the title to be there. Let me add it as orders by category, right? So how many number of orders we are getting with respect to each and every single category. And with respect to the title itself, let me bring in some changes. I want the heading seems fine. That is heading 3. Font, I want to keep it as Sego UI. Again, it's up to you what exactly you want to keep it. Font size, I can keep it up to 10. Right, that seems fine. Let me align it in the center, and yeah, now it seems quite a bit fine, right? Now, once I'm done with this, let me move forward with bringing in some more changes wherein I want to bring in some change. Okay, so at this point, you can see some kind of great values coming over here, right? So this bar chart is representing that what is the total number of orders we are getting from the multiple product categories we are having. We are able to break down these numbers. But one more thing I would like to show you over here, that is a tooltip option, right? So I want a tooltip to be shown over here, right? So just in order to show that tooltip, I will be going forward with my properties, and tooltips I've already turned it on. And let me bring in some changes into my tooltip, right? First of all, let us see how exactly the tooltip is appearing. Okay, so we are able to see these insights, but how exactly I want my tooltip to be there, just like this. I want to apply the similar kind of formatting with respect to each and every single visual. So that's why I will be bringing in some changes into this tooltip as well. Let me click over here. Let me go forward with my properties section with respect to my tooltips. Let me bring in some changes with respect to the text which is being shown, right? So in the background, I want the color to be there as just like that, right? Just like this. So we want the color to be there like dark gray color, then the value color should be shown as white. Or let me keep the value color as blue only, just like last time, right? Okay, one thing you can do over here, you can simply go forward with this specific color. Let me go forward with this specific option that is a blue color. And now with respect to the label color, I want it to be there as white itself. In a similar way, drill text, we can also keep it as white. And now, and transparency for the background, I want to keep it up to 10%. And let us see how exactly our tooltip is appearing at this point. Somewhat kind of great value we are getting, right? But we are not exactly able to see that specific color that was Maven blue that we were considering. So that's why you have to again look forward to the hex code, right? It's because in order to get this Maven blue color, we need to look upon that what was the hex code for that color, right? And as per that only, we will be able to look upon that specific color itself. So let me again go forward with my values. The hex code I want to enter is will be entered from this specific space itself. What exactly I've did is that I've went with the value color. In the more colors option, you will get to see that you can enter your hex code. So let me enter my hex code for the naval blue color as 20E2D7. And now you will be able to see your naval blue color itself, right? And now at this point, if I'm hovering over here, you'll get to see a similar kind of background, or a similar kind of formatting, just like for the line chart, right? So that's how exactly you can go forward with breaking down these numbers into category by category. That's how exactly we can come up with our bar chart itself to break down these numbers on the basis of the multiple categories. And definitely, if you want, you can go forward with the donut chart as well. That is completely up to you. So that would be all regarding the categories breakdown with respect to our numbers, and let us meet in the next video with some more important insights. So that would be all in this video, and thank you. All right, guys. So in this specific video, we are going to talk about the filtering techniques, that how exactly we can apply and filter on this page. And by applying and filter on this page, we will be able to see the values getting applied on the basis of that specific filter itself, or how exactly the values on these multiple visuals will get to change as per the filter that we have applied. So we have already seen into our matrix visual, right? That onto our matrix visual itself, whenever I was choosing a specific categorical column. So on the basis of the values that were there on that categorical column, we were able to see the values getting changed for that specific categorical column values itself. Or the numbers that we can see on that visual itself that were getting changed just because of the values that were there onto that specific categorical column itself. So in a similar way, we are going to work over here as well. But one thing I want to change over here, and that is with respect to our bar chart, I want to bring in some changes into these bars, right? Like one thing I want to do is that I want to match the formatting with respect to the other visuals that we're having. So let me go forward with the on object formatting. Let me click over here and I will be able to see the values getting changed over here. Wherein what exact transformation I can make over here is that I can simply go forward with these bars, and with respect to the bar color, I want to make it similar to that of the other visuals. And now it seems quite fine, right? Now we can see a proper visual wherein each and every single visual is having the proper color attached to it. It is coming out to be similar to each other, right? All right, so we're done with this, and let us now move forward with discussing about this filter section. So over here itself, you can get you will get to see that we are having this options, that is filters on this page, filters on all pages. And in a similar way, if I'm clicking on a specific visual itself, then you will get to see that we are having this option of filters on this visual. So that's exactly how it used to work. So whenever you are going forward with applying a filter, you can apply the filter onto the specific visual itself. You can apply the filter on this specific page itself, or you can apply the filter on all of the pages. So three ways you can simply come up with the filtering options, or the three types of filters you can have. First of all, you can have visual filters, wherein the filter will be applied on this specific visual itself, or any of the visual that you are selecting. So the filter will be applied on that specific visual itself. In a similar way, you can have the second type of filter, and that is the page level filter, wherein the filter will be applied on all of the visuals, each and every single visual that you can see over here on the screen. So on each and every single visual itself, you will get to see the filter getting applied. In a similar way, we can have these report level filters. So with respect to the report level filters, we can have multiple pages, right? And with respect to each and every single page, we can see that the filters are getting applied, right? So let us go forward with looking into this aspect, that how exactly the filters are being applied. So first of all, I'm not exactly going forward with the filter option, but I would like to show you one option over here, or one of the specific functionality that Power BI is having, that is the interactive and interlink kind of nature. So already we have discussed about this thing, that if I'm clicking on one of the visual, let us go forward with clicking on this accessories bar. And as soon as I'm going to click on this accessories bar, you will get to see the values getting changed on the rest of the visuals as well, right? So what is the revenue we are generating for the order category that is an accessory? Then what is the number of orders we are generating throughout these years for this specific category itself? Then what was the profit we were generating, and what was the return percentage? And each and every single individual visual is getting changed over here, right? So that's exactly how this page level filter used to work. So you can simply choose a specific visual, and as per the value that is there into that specific visual, you will get to see the values getting changed into each and every single other visual that we are having onto the similar page itself. So this is a kind of example that how exactly this page level filters used to work. But we won't be going into this particular aspect, and we will be covering the aspect to how to exactly apply the filters by this specific section. So if you want to revert the changes that you have made by the filter by clicking on one of the visual, you can again click on that visual, and then you will be able to come back to your original state. So now let us see that how exactly this filter level visual used to work, and then we will be going forward with our filters on this page and filters on all pages. So over here itself, you can see that two kind of filters I can apply, right? I can either apply the filter on this specific visual on the basis of the category name, or I can apply the filter on the basis of all orders, just because these were the two data values that I was considering, right, for getting the values. So with respect to the category name, one thing I can do over here, and that is if I want to apply the filtering with respect to this category's name, wherein I only want to see the orders for accessories, then I can simply check it, and you will get to see that onto this specific visual itself, I'm not able to see these changes on the rest of the visuals, right? So a filter level or a page level filter is not being applied over here, right? Only the visual level filter is applied over here, and that's why only into accessories itself I'm able to see the orders. In a similar way, if I'm interested in looking forward to the orders coming from clothing only and bikes only, then I can simply choose these specific options itself. Right. So that's exactly how you can come up with a visual level filter. If you want to apply any sort of filter, you can simply choose the option as per your requirements, and you will get to see the filters getting applied as per the requirements itself, right? So I want to clear out this filter. So for clearing out these filters, you can see this option like a eraser kind of option, right? You can simply click over here. You will get to see your original visual itself. In a similar way, there is also one of the option to apply this filter, wherein if I want to apply this filter, wherein if I'm interested in looking forward to the top n categories. So this top n categories we won't be exploring in this specific scenario. But for example, if the company or if the executive is quite interested in looking forward to that information, that if the company is having more than 10 or 25 number of categories, right? And then if the companies are quite interested in this aspect, that with respect to the number of orders, what are the top 10 number of categories which is giving us the maximum number of orders, right? So if I'm interested into that aspect, then I can simply go forward with this top and basic filtering. That is again something up to me, and then I can go forward with this advanced filtering as well. So in this specific scenario, just because I'm going forward with the category name, so that's why I can apply the filters on the basis of the textual data, right? So I won't be able to apply the filter on the basis of numeric data just because the category name is consisting of the text data itself. So for example, if I want to show the items that are getting started with S, and let me apply the filter. So there is no such item which is getting started with S. That's why I'm not able to see anything. But if I want to see the items or the specific categories which are getting started by C, then let me apply the filter, and you can see that clothing, just because it starts with C. So that's why we are only able to see the orders coming from clothing itself. So this is again a kind of filter that you can apply, and this is the filter which will be working with respect to a specific visual itself. And once we are done with this, let me move forward with the second kind of filter I can apply, and that will be with respect to the total orders. So just because total orders is a numeric feature, so that's why I will be able to apply some sort of numeric filters over here. So for example, if I'm interested in this thing that what is the total number of orders we are getting, and then if I'm interested in looking forward to the total orders which is greater than 14K, right? Let me apply the filter over here. I want the filters to be there, or I want the categories to be shown when the category is having the number of orders greater than 14,000. So if I'm applying this filter, you will get to see only the accessories, right? That's because accessories is the only category which is having the total number of orders greater than 14,000. Right, so that's exactly how these filters used to work. So you are just basically putting a condition just like the where clause we are having in SQL, and on the basis of that condition, we are able to see the values getting shown. Right, so that's exactly how you will be applying the visual level filter, and this visual level filter won't be having any effect on the rest of the visuals, right? Just because we are not exactly working with the page level filter at this point. But for example, if I want to work with the page level filter as well, then what exactly I can do from my side is that I can simply click over here. And after clicking over here, you'll get to see your page level filters getting applied, wherein after clicking over here, you'll get to see that we are having this option of filters on this page. So what exactly I can do is that I can simply go forward with looking forward to the data, wherein I'm searching for the country name. So for example, if I want this all of these visuals to be shown to show a number wherein the number should be shown in a way wherein that should be reflecting the information with respect to a specific country itself. Like for example, this country column, if I'm dropping over here, and then if I want the information to be shown with respect to the country Australia itself, then you can see that now we are able to see the values, that what is the total number of orders we are getting from Australia itself. That is 6,060 number of orders we are getting from Australia. In a similar way, $7.4 million revenue is the revenue we are generating from Australia, right? So each and every single information or each and every single visual is getting changed over here with respect to the filter that we have applied. So that's exactly how this page level filter used to work, right? But these changes that you're making over here, that is, I'm looking forward to the information getting changed with respect to a page level filter. You won't be able to see these changes happening on the other report pages, right? Just because we haven't explored actually this specific filter option, that is filters on all pages, right? So that's why you will only be able to see those changes happening onto the single page itself, right? So that's exactly how you can come up with the page level filter. So let me clear this option, or let me clear this filter as well, and let us go forward with the final kind of filter that we can apply. And that would be regarding filters on all pages, right? So if I want the filters to be applied on each and every single page itself, wherein if the executive is interested in this information, that what is the revenue you are generating from Australia, wherein you want the information to be shown into each and every single page, on the basis of the country Australia itself. So let me go forward with dragging country column into my filters on all pages, and I want the information to be shown with respect to Australia. Or let us go forward with United States. Right, so from United States, accessories is giving us the maximum number of orders again. Bikes is giving us the second maximum number of orders, and what is the profit we are generating. And definitely a kind of monthly revenue is not exactly coming out to be as much we are expecting, right? You can see this red value generated over here. So in United States, we are not exactly looking forward to an increase in revenue. In a similar way, the orders are not exactly coming out to be greater than as compared to the previous month orders. So we can see a kind of loss over here, but the revenue is still coming out to be great, and the orders are still coming out to be great, right? And we can't actually see a kind of increment, right? We can see a kind of decrement over here, like the total, like as per the forecasting which is being done in terms of months, we can see that we can expect a decrement in the revenue, right? Just because as per the forecasting which is being done. And one more thing I would like to show it to you over here, and that is when I'm applying this filters of United States on filters on all pages, then I will be able to see these changes happening onto the rest of the visuals or on the other pages as well. So you can see that now this specific filter, that is the country, that is United States, is being applied on all of the pages. Right, so that's exactly how it used to work. So you can definitely explore out these options if the executive is asking you these questions that are interested in the specific information itself. Then you can go forward with either this visual level filter, or you can make the use of page level filter, or you can come up with this report level filter, right? Well, that's exactly how these filters used to work. You are again able to see the values, the initial values itself over here itself, right? So that's how exactly you can explore out these multiple filter options, and that would be all regarding the multiple kind of filters that we are having, right? So let us meet in the next video with some assignment, and that would be all in this video. So thank you. All right, guys, so let us get started with our third assignment, and in this specific assignment, we are going to discuss about the key objectives with respect to our donut charts and the filters that we were discussing in the previous videos. So first of all, let us go forward with this first key objective. So first of all, we have to add a donut chart to the customer detail report, and that should show the total customers with respect to the income level. So we have already shown you that in the legend, you can add your categorical values and what exactly you want to represent in the values that you can represent as per the requirement. So as per the first key objective, total orders, you can add it into your values, and income level, you can add as your legend. Just because legend is just like that filter that we used to apply, right? So over here itself in my donut chart, just because the filter I want to apply is with respect to the income level. So that's why in the legend section, I will be adding income level as my legend itself. Now, the second key objective is stating that we have to add a chart title, and we should turn off the legend, and we should update the data labels to show the category and value with the font size as 8, and the decimal places should be 1. So these are the requirements that you need to come up with. So these are the formatting things that you need to do from your side. It's not exactly too much difficult, right? You can simply go forward with that on object formatting, or you can simply make the use of this formatting itself, and these are the prerequisites that you have to complete. And then you have to update the colors of the slices to match the screenshot in the solution preview. So just after discussing about these 5 key objectives, I will be showing you a screenshot that how exactly your donut chart should look like. So as per that only, you can come up with these donut charts, right? Then in the fourth key objective, you have to add a visual level filter to exclude customers with a very high level income. So again, the filters we have discussed in the previous video itself. So you can simply click on that donut chart, and then you can apply this filtering wherein you won't be including the very high level income, right? So that you have to exclude, you just have to make the use of those checkbox options that we have shown you already, right? And then in the fifth key objective, you have to copy the chart to show the total orders by occupation. And then you should add a visual level filter to display the 3 occupations with the most orders. So there is going to be a bonus point if you are making the use of the top end filter, right? So we have already shown you that how exactly you can make the use of these filters and how you can come up with these top total orders with respect to occupation, and whatever changes are required to be done in the key objectives, you will get to see that there is an option already in the visual level filter itself to solve the fifth key objective. So that's why it won't be a bit difficult, and I think it is a bit easy one, right? These objectives are not exactly too much difficult if you have gone through the previous videos, right? So let us move forward with the solution walkthrough that we were discussing about, or the solution preview. So these are going to be the donut charts, right? So in this way, you should represent your donut charts. I mean, again, it's up to you if you want to come up with some other level, other colors for each and every single slice. That is again something up to you. But if you are keeping it like that, then you can simply match the formatting which we are doing from our side, or still it's up to you, right? So that would be all with respect to our third assignment, and let us meet in the next video with the solution walkthrough of the third assignment, right? So thank you. All right, guys, so let us get started with the solution walkthrough of our third assignment. So the first key objective is asking us to add a donut chart to the customer detail report, and we should display the total orders by the income level, right? So let us get back into our Power BI, and let me go forward with the customer detail report. We can simply rename it as customer detail if you want to. I was keeping it as customer only, but let us rename it as customer details, right? So now over here itself, we want to add the donuts like this, right? The donut chart like this. Okay, so we need to show the orders by income level, and we need to show the orders by occupation, right? So let me go forward with the insert option, and into the insert option itself, I will get to see and donut chart option over here itself. So you can have pie chart, you can have donut chart, and you can have tree map. Tree map we have already discussed about. It will be used for the hierarchical kind of data. And in this particular aspect, we have to make the use of donut chart, right? Pie chart also seems to be a kind of great option, but let us go forward with the donut chart itself. And as per the requirement, you can see that they have asked us to add the donut chart in the rightmost end, right? So let me add it over here, and I'm gonna create a copy of it when I will be going forward with my second donut chart as per the solution walkthrough or solution preview, right? So we will be bringing in all of the changes in orders by income level, and whatever changes I'm going to make, that changes I will be reflecting to orders by occupation donut chart as well, right? So we have inserted our donut chart, and the first thing that we need to do over here is we need to show the total orders by the income level. So these insights the stakeholder is quite interested in, or the executive is quite interested in. So we need to show the total customers by the income level, right? So in the legend, I will be adding my value as the income level, right? And now the values you have to add is going to be the total income, is going to be total orders, right? So what all number of orders you are getting with respect to the income level, right? Okay, so now we can see some kind of important insights that with respect to the income level. So if the income level is coming out to be average, then we are getting the maximum number of orders, right? It's around 45.74%, right? And then the second greatest number of orders we are getting when the income level is low. But when the income level is coming out to be high, we are not exactly getting that many number of orders, right? So you can get this insight over here itself, and there is some kind of extra slices that you can see over here, right? That is very high and blank, and this is something I'm not exactly concerned about at this point. So that's why when I will be applying the filter, then I will be directly removing these legend values that is very high and blank, and these are the requisites, or these are the requirements as per the key objectives as well, right? So we will be looking into these things, but first of all, the first objective we have completed from our side, and that is we need to show the total orders by the income level, right? And now we need to add a chart title. We need to turn off the legend, and we need to update the data labels to show the category and value with the font size as 8 and 1 decimal place. Okay, so first of all, we need to update the title, right? So let me double click over here. And now let me click on this title itself. And what exactly is the title? Orders by income level. Okay, that seems quite fine as a title. And I need to keep the font size as 8, right? First of all, let me keep it in the center. Let me keep the font as Sego UI. Sego UI is not exactly a requirement, but I like to keep it like that. So that's why I'm keeping it like that. And next thing they're asking me is that the legend shouldn't be, we're not exactly looking forward to this legend, right? So we can simply turn it off, right? And then what exactly you can do is that in order to come up with this kind of visual, you can simply go forward with these slices first of all. So if I'm clicking on this slice or over here itself, you can see the slices option, right? So what exactly the color they are choosing? So for average, they are choosing this navel blue color, right? That seems quite fine. And let me go forward with the next color. And then they are choosing black for low. So for low, we have to come up with black. And then yellow should be for high. Okay, for the rest of the slices, we will be ultimately excluding it. So there is no point to keep very high and blank. So in the filter section itself, we will be removing these specific slices, right? So we are done with this thing and let us go forward with looking forward to some another information. So the information should be reflected with respect to each and every single slice as outside of the slice, right? So let us look into this aspect that how we can exactly represent that kind of information. Okay, colors we have changed. Now the detail labels, let us see what exactly it is representing to us. So what exactly you want is that you want the category. Okay, so now you can see that we are able to get the category and the data value, right? So this is how exactly you can come up with these answers. For high, it should be 2.8K and the values you can see what exactly is the value for average, what exactly is the value for low, right? So we want the category and we want the numbers to be shown. And this is what the stakeholder is quite interested in. So from average, we are getting 12,000 number of orders. From high, I'm getting 2,000 number of, and the income level is high, then we are getting 2,000 number of orders. When the income level is average, then we are getting around 12,000 number of orders. And then when the income level is low, then we are getting 11,000 number of orders, right? So all of these insights you can look upon, and this seems quite fine. And let me go forward with bringing in some changes. Okay, so they were asking us to show the values with the font size as 8 and one decimal place should be shown, right? Let me click over here. Let me bring in the changes in the value. So the values font size should be 8 and you can keep the decimal places up to 1. Okay, this gives us better information just like the values which we are able to see over here itself, right? And let us move forward with the next objective. So we have added a chart title, we have turned off the legend, we have updated the data labels to show the category and value. We have already made this change and then we need to update the colors of the slices to match the screenshot. This is also something we have seen and then we need to add a visual level filter to exclude the customers with a very high income level. So in the requirements as well, you can see that we are required to bring in that change so that we can ultimately remove these slices, right? I'm not exactly interested in these slices, right? So let me go forward with this income level and what exactly I want to represent over here is the blank income level, high income level, and the low income level. And now we are able to come up with some better answers, right? For the average income level, how many number of orders we are getting, for the high income level, how many number of orders we are getting, and for the low income level, how many number of orders we are getting. Okay, so we have successfully applied the filters as well as per the requirement, and this seems quite fine, right? It actually reflects some kind of great information in which you are quite interested in. Okay, so now we can show the stakeholders that with respect to the multiple categories we are having, what is the income level, as per the income level category we are having, how many number of orders we are getting with respect to each and every single income level. So the strategy can be applied in that way that we can bring in some changes in our marketing, right? So, so we can apply some kind of marketing strategy that if we are getting the maximum number of orders from the people who are having the average income level, then as per that we can come up with the marketing strategy, right? So that's why it's very important to come up with these insights to get to know that what all orders we are getting from which specific side of the customer. So this category is nothing but the side itself, right? Okay, so this is something we have seen, and now we need to bring in some changes by for the second preview as well, wherein we are representing the orders by occupation, right? That what all number of orders we are getting with respect to the occupation of the customer. So I'll just copy it and I'll paste it over here itself. So we can bring in some changes into the size of it. Okay, and let me copy it, paste it. I need to align it properly. Okay, and now over here, I want to show the orders by the occupation. So in the legend section itself, let me add the legend as occupation itself, and let us go forward with this and let us see what exactly we are getting. Okay, so again, we need to bring in some changes just because we want to come up with the similar solution preview. So that's why I want to show the occupation as professional management and skilled manual as well only. And what is the objective they have placed? So they are asking us to copy the chart to show total orders by occupation, and then we need to add a visual level filter to display the three occupations with the most orders. Okay, and we're getting a bonus point if we are using the top end filters. Okay, so if we are getting a bonus point by so, by moving forward with top end filters, and definitely we should try out that only, right? So let me go forward into my Power BI, and with respect to, okay, income level we are not exactly interested in, right? Legend I'm adding as the occupation, and now with respect to this, with respect to occupation, the filter type I want to go forward with is top N. So I want to show the top three items, right? With the most orders. So you need to show the top three items on the basis of the number of orders, maximum number of orders you're getting. So let us go forward with the total orders. And let me drag it and drop it over here, and let me apply the filter, and now you will get to see the kind of visual that we were able to see over here. Yeah, again we need to bring in some changes into the slices, but we have actually successfully solved all of the objectives, right? Definitely you need to bring in some changes into the slice color, but the objectives that were required, we are able to apply the proper visual level filter. We are able to come up with the proper categorical distribution of the orders. And just the last thing we can do from our side is to bring in the change into these colors, right? So what are the requirements? For management, it should be yellow. A similar kind of color we need to see for the management. It should be similar to that of yellow. For skilled manual, it should be black. And for professional, it should be this color, right? Now it seems quite fine. We are able to come up with, okay, the title also we need to bring in some changes. Again, double click on the visual. Let me click over here, and I need to show the title as orders by occupation. Okay, so we are done with this. We are able to represent the information as the orders by income level and orders by occupation, right? Okay, it seems quite informative. We are able to come up with these answers, and that would be all regarding the solution of our third assignment regarding the donut charts and with respect to the filter sections, right? So definitely you can try it out from your side. We are completely done with all of the objectives, and let us meet in the next video with some more informative content. So that would be all, and thank you.